Hi, thank you so much for joining us. You are watching the October edition of Quilted Joy Clubhouse, October 2020, and I hope that you and yours are doing well as we enter the fall season. It's just so nice of you to spend a little time with us here today, and I know your time is valuable, and I really appreciate you choosing to kind of play along with us, and I hope that you will join us in the Clubhouse. We have a Facebook group where you will find some of the most loving, kind, supportive machine quilters around, and we share our projects and kind of cheer each other along and talk about design. So do join us there in the Clubhouse. My name is Angela Huffman. I should probably start with that. And I own and operate Quilted Joy Studios in Louisville, Kentucky. And we have a mighty, small but powerful shop here in Kentucky, and we support machine quilters the world over. So I hope that you join us in the future, and I thank you for joining us today. And I always love it when people over in the comments, if you post where you are watching from. We have viewers from all over the US, Canada, as well as abroad. So it's always fun to see how far flung we have our viewers. So do post over there, and it's nice to see people are kind of filtering in today as we have a great program on board for you today. So I did want to mention we've got a big thing coming up in October to kind of celebrate the fall season. We are going to have a fall free motion quilt along, and it is at the end of October, and every day in your inbox you will get a free motion worksheet that has a step-by-step diagram of some fun fall free motion patterns. We've got witches hats, and we've got apples, and we've got all kinds of things on board for you. So if you sign up for our newsletter, then you will get all of those free motion worksheets free in your inbox that you can download and print and kind of play along each day and learn a new free motion design that you can use on your fall quilt. So be sure to sign up for our newsletter. Now today we are going to talk about 5 fun feather plumes, right? Hard to say all at once. So this has been the year of the feather. I mean, 2020, if you go back, you can go back on YouTube and you can watch all of our past Clubhouse meetings. And each of those for 2020 has had a different feather theme. We've talked a little bit about different plumes. We've talked a little bit about different spines. We've talked a little bit about different shapes that you can fit feathers within. And today we're going to have 5 fun, kind of funky feather designs to kind of help you play outside of the more normal, traditional kind of Amish feather look to your feather spine. So let's talk about our fun feather plumes. And I'm going to take it to the computer where I'm actually going to draw on the computer some different feather plumes. And the first one that I want to draw for you may be kind of familiar to some of you because we've talked in the past about one of my favorite kind of go-to designs that I love to do. Oh, I'm not on the right layer. There I go. One of my favorites is I do this little curl, and then I come back to the top of his head, and then I kick out to a plume, and then the next one is a curl, and then I come back to the top of his head and kick out into a plume. So you've seen me do that before, but today what I want to do, it's kind of a variation on that, and it's just that little curl. It's just the curl. And I've just got my spine I would have chalked on there and not necessarily quilted that spine initially. I just would have given myself kind of, well, just a path to put the feathers on, and these feathers are just little curled plumes. So my encouragement to you is to really explore different plumes. There are so many out there. And if you have only played with more traditional ones, those are super difficult. So if you've been struggling, choose something that's a little more whimsical to initially start with. Now here's where I would actually come down and stitch that spine, and that's going to give me a way to get back to the bottom, and then I'm going to head up the other side. And so it's always going to be easier initially to stitch from the bottom up. And notice that I'm kind of keeping these curls a little tight. If I went out into a little bit bigger, you certainly could. Notice it gives you a totally different look. So play around with your spacing as far as how much of a hook versus how much of a curl you're interested in, and that'll give you a different look. So pretty simple. just a curl on a spine. Okay, so let's look at a different variation. I've got my same spine here, and this is going to be more like fern fronds. So this is so easy, you guys. You're just gonna, it's or cat claws or grass. I mean, whatever works for your brain. Just spiky claw things headed up your spine. This is where I'd come down my spine and I'd head off this way. And these little ferny, feathery things are really forgiving because there is no symmetry in them. They are all kind of wild and forgiving. So that would be another interesting, fun feather that isn't traditional. Now let's combine the two because I think you're going to find that this gives you a really interesting look. So we're going to start with that same curl that we were just looking at before, and then I'm going to put that little ferny, spiky thing. And now I'm going to reach out and do a little curl, and then I'm going to do that ferny, spiky thing. And I'm going to work my way up. And I would have chalked this spine. I wouldn't have stitched it initially. I would have just chalked it out. And if you want to do a couple of ferny, spiky things, you could do a couple of ferny, spiky things. All right, and I'm going to head down my spine, and now I'm going to do it on this side. So I'm going to kick out into a curl, spike, curl, spike. And for those of you asking what program I'm using to draw on, I had been using a Mac-only software to draw on the screen for you called Paintbrush. But I know we have a lot of PC users as well. And so this is one, isn't that cute? So this is one that you can use for any platform, and it's free. It's called GIMP, G-I-M-P. And you just download it to your computer and you can draw on your screen. Okay, so that one. Now let's look at combining. Let's look at kind of combining these in a different way. So I'm going to erase those. All right, so that was number 3. So let's look at number 4. And so I'm going to do a curl out. It's the same curl we've been talking about, but this time when I come up to the top, I'm just going to go back, and then I'm going to head back to my spine. All right, so I'm going to curl and then come back, echo, and head back to my spine. So curl in, head back, echo. And so what makes all of these kind of more forgiving and fun is that because the symmetry is so wackadoodle, because there is no symmetry, you don't have to be so stinking precise about everything. So it just makes it a whole lot easier. Curl and echo, and then I'm going to head back down the spine, and now we're going to do the other side. So curl, echo, head back, curl, echo, and work my way up. So when you are sitting in front of your TV, watching your movies at night, your TV shows at night, get a piece of paper, get a sketch pad, or if you have a laptop and you have a way to draw or a tablet or something, just doodle this. You're going to need to doodle it before you can take it to the machine. And it doesn't mean you need to doodle it well, but unless you have it in your brain, it's going to be hard for you to get it onto fabric. So there you go. That's, I don't really know what to call that, but it's a fun way to do kind of a funky feather. Okay, I want to take the same kind of path and change it up just a tiny bit and give you a totally different look. So we're going to start out with that same curl that we did before. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to curl in. I'm going to head back, but then I'm going to kick out. And then I'm going to head back to my spine. All right, let's do that again. I'm going to curl in, same thing we've been doing. I'm going to head back, I'm going to kick out, and I'm going to come back to my spine. And then I'm just going to head up, and I'm I'm going to make them just a little smaller as I get up to the top. And I'm going to do the last one. And so my chalk line, I don't necessarily have to pay attention to it, but I just kind of incorporated it. I'd head back down, curl, head back, kick out. And so I find it hard on the computer to draw with an actual mouse. So what I have is, it's called a tablet, a graphics tablet, but it's a mouse in a pen form. And on, if you have like a iPad or an Android tablet or something that you can draw on, there are different styluses that you can get that allow you to draw. Let's just put a little plume at the top on those, but I'm just using a graphics tablet. It's made by Wacom. I think it's like $60, something like that, to draw on the screen. Okay, so those were 5 fun feather plumes, and I would love it if you, play with them. Play with on paper, and I'd love to see what you're working on. Post it on our Quilted Joy Clubhouse group there, and love to see if you do put it on the quilt. I would love to see what it looks like, so do join us. And I did want to say, we're going to quilt a couple of these out. Going ahead of myself. I did want to say that if you are looking for more feather plumes, that we do have, there's a wonderful book by one of my quilting heroes, Beth Ann Nemish. It's called Fast and Fancy, and it has gobs of wonderful fun feather plumes that I think you would really enjoy. And one of the things that I love about the way that Beth Ann teaches and the way that this book is laid out is that she starts with a fairly simple feather, and then she works her way through, and as she goes down, she makes it fancier. And so at the end, at the bottom of the page, it's super fancy. And so you may not be ready for super fancy, but you may be ready for medium-high fancy. And so she's got a number of different ways that you can play with feathers in that book. I highly recommend it. Okay, and you can find that on our website, by the way, at that link that we put up. You can find that book and more over at quiltedjoy.com. So let's play with some of these feather designs. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to chalk out a spine. So let's just chalk out a spine. There we go. And let's just do that simple curl that we had looked at initially. So I would take some tacking stitches here at the bottom, and I'm just going to kick out and curl and head up and curl. All right, let's head back down the spine and curl on this side. And the thread that I'm using, by the way, is, let's see, let's put a little terminal feather there at the end. The thread that I'm using, by the way, is Primo Soft. If you have played with Glide, this is, oh no, this is Glide. This is Glide. I thought we had Primo Soft on there. So this is Glide that we have on the machine. I was just going to say they have they have Primo Soft made by the same makers of Glide. It's got a matte finish and not a glossy finish, and this one has a shiny finish, so this one is Glide. But if you are looking for a thread to use that doesn't have that glossy finish, try that Primo Soft by the same maker as Glide. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, let's do a little ferny feather. So I'm going to go kick out. And you guys, this one is so forgiving. Head down, let's do the other side. All right, let me break my thread so that you can see that one. Okay, so there is that one. Nice, right? All right, let's do one where we combine them together. So I'm going to do another spine. I'm gonna bring up my threads. And let's do that one where we combined them. So we did a curl and a spike and a curl and a spike. All right, let's head down. Curl, spike, curl, and I think I'm going to put a little terminal feather on it as well. So, you know, there's just so much going on that the eye can't take in all the little variations and changes that I've made. So it makes it very, very easy to do. I do have my stitch regulator on. I do normally use the stitch regulator. Sometimes we'll turn it off in videos only because it makes it easier for the camera. It's not changing speeds on the camera, so sometimes that makes it easier. All right, let's do that one where we do the curl and we do that echo. So I've got my spine. Let me bring up my bobbin thread. I may have cut it too short on that last. There he is. Ooh, do you see him duck back under? There he is. I got him. I got him. All right. So we're going to do a curl, come back, and echo. A curl, and echo. A curl, and echo. This to me reminds me a little bit of like Lily of the Valley. This one can go really formal. Let's head back down. Let's do the other side. Curl, echo, curl, echo. And so one of my goals for you guys with all these feathers that we've been talking about is to kind of give you a feather cheat sheet of plumes that you could go back when you're searching for something to do on your next quilt. And I wonder what happens. Let's go the opposite way for this top. So that way, and then let's do one. You see what I did? I flipped them. And now I'm going to break my threads. And I made like this little heart design at the top. Okay, so there's that one. And see the little top? Yeah. All right, so you'll have to tell me in the comments which one is your favorite so far. Which one do you see yourself playing with and using? And I'd be interested to know which one you think is the easiest and which one you think is the hardest. Hopefully you see how they kind of build on each other. That's my goal, is to always just kind of show you the easy way and then to kick it up. So there's that same curl, but instead of doing the echo down, I'm going to do the echo out and then head back to the spine. Curl, out, back to the spine. Curl, out, head to the spine. What would you call this one? Put there in the comments if you have a suggestion of what we might call this one, because I don't know. All right, curl, out and head on back, and curl, out and head on back, and curl, and out. I'm going to actually do that kind of terminal feather at the top. So I just want you to see the choice I made there at the top. It was a little different than the top we did for the one before. So let me pull my thread away. So I did like a triple feather in there, like an echoed feather at the top. And then there's our little curl with a kick out. So hopefully you enjoyed one of those. Tell me which one you like over in the comments. I'd be interested to know which one you find interesting. I never know if the ones that I find interesting are the ones that other people find interesting, but I assume that one of the 5 you might like. So I'd like to know which one it is. And I do want to thank our sponsor. Our sponsor is APQS. APQS long arm machines, they're 100% handcrafted right there in Iowa, and they are loved the world over, and they do have that APQS lifetime warranty. So quilt forever with APQS. We thank you, APQS. We really appreciate all that you do. All right, so I have a studio tour for you today, our Looky Loo tour with Roger, and I think you're gonna love what he gets to look out over as he quilts each day. So I can't wait for you to see it. Let's take a look and check in with Roger. Hi, Roger. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. I'm very excited.
Good. Well, I'm excited to be nosy. Now, first of all, tell me where you're located.
I'm in Riverview, Florida. So it's in Tampa area. It's about a half hour from Tampa.
Fabulous. And you've been there for a little while?
About a year and a half.
All right. So you have a relatively new space that you've created for your creations.
Correct. That's why we bought this house because of the room. We wanted an extra room just for my quilting.
All right. Well, let's see it. Can you turn the camera around? We'll take a look.
Sure will.
Ooh, I see a Judy Niemeyer. Are you working on that?
My husband is. He's doing the Judy Niemeyer one. That's our work area for our designer wall.
So you have a design wall. Have you put like foam up on the wall, or is it just flannel?
No, it's a Fons and Porter actually design wall. So
oh, okay. So it's gridded.
Yes. Yeah. If you can, I don't know if you can see it. Probably.
Yeah, I'll take your. Oh, there it is. I can sort of see it. Yeah.
The whole thing is good, and I have two of them because I want it longer because we're ending up doing a lot of king size quilts.
Fantastic. All right, well, turn the camera so we can see. I see your ironing station and just, more design wall. Fantastic. Oh, and that's probably where you piece.
Yes, this is my cutting table. And then I have my Jane, my baby lock Jane.
Yeah.
This is where I keep all my bobbins that are pre-wound.
Oh, very nice.
All I did was buy a spice rack, couple of spice racks.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's a great size for it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else. That's pretty.
And then I made that for my thread itself. I don't know if you can see it.
Is it pegboard? Is that what it is?
Yes, pegboard. And then I got little pegs and stuck all my thread up to what I could fit.
Oh, I love it. I love the rainbow of colors. Yeah. And then there's your long arm machine. Okay, I got to know what's outside those windows though, Roger. It's already pulling my eye. Oh my goodness, that is water.
Yes. Yeah.
You look out over water.
Yeah, this is it. That's my backyard.
I bet you've got all kinds of things to look at all day long. Cranes and all kinds of ducks and
it's amazing.
Yeah. Do people go out like on a paddleboard or a kayak or a boat?
You can't go on the pond. You can't do that. I have seen people fishing in it. Don't know why, but they do.
That's fantastic. All right, so your long arm looks out over the water.
If I'm here, if I'm doing the front, this is how it looks.
Oh my goodness, Roger, that is so fantastic. Good for you. That's wonderful. So what size frame is that? Is it a 10-foot, a 12-foot?
12-foot frame.
12-foot frame. All right. And then you've got, what's the red? You've got all kinds of tools. Is that another pegboard?
That's another pegboard with all my scissors.
But it doesn't look like a regular pegboard.
No, actually, it's one I got on Home Depot, I think, or something like that. It's just unique. No, actually, I bought it on Amazon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so you've got all of your tools and your scissors.
Like hooks that go in there, and then I got my scissors and my oil. And
Well, I can see you're a guy who likes to organize your stuff.
You want to see organized?
Yeah, I do. Show me organized.
Let me show you my fabric.
I can't wait.
Let me show you my fabric, okay?
Oh my goodness. Roger, you got to come to my house and do that. That's fantastic.
All of these.
Do you have them wrapped on something?
Yes, actually what I do is I take these paper acid-free cardboard and then I just roll them up. So then what you do is I'll pull out one, and you'll see. Oh, sorry, my dog. You'll see that I just rolled it up.
Yeah.
And usually I have how much is on there, but I guess this one I didn't do.
And so it's just held on there with a paper clip.
Yep, that's it.
And do you organize it purely by color, or do you like have all your batiks in a whole separate section from your prints, from your solids?
Yeah, the batiks are over here, up top here, most of them.
Uh-huh.
Then I tried to separate into colors. Like these are all reds and reds and yellows, and you got over here you got the whites and all. This is a mess. Not everything's organized.
So what do you do with all your scraps? Is that what is on top?
Yep, those are all my scraps, and I have each one.
And you have them all labeled.
Like 2.5 is the size, not the length. So they're all sized out.
So Roger, you know those shows on cable television where they come in and they like organize your house? You could have a side business where you just go and organize people's sewing rooms. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
wow.
fun. It's fun. It was
so when you need like a 2.5-inch scrap, you've got a bucket full of them already.
Yeah.
That you can just go and pull.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't have it so that the colors are separated, just the size. Figure, what the heck,
Yeah. So is this like a bonus room, like above a garage, or?
This is what it is called a bonus room. It's upstairs because we have a 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom home. And so this is upstairs. It's 580 square feet, I believe.
Okay.
So,
and all of the cabinetry and everything, is that like an IKEA thing? Because it looks like, that's what I was going to, that was my guess. And so I see.
When we were in California, we got that and we had it moved out here and it survived. I'm surprised.
So I see you've got little cones on the wall over there. So you've got your big cones and your little cones.
Yeah, my little cones, I bought those for embroidering because we have a Destiny that I embroider with. So.
Fantastic. All right, well, Roger, if you would turn the camera around, because so Roger, I'm wanting to know what 3 things you would recommend to your bestie. They don't have to be quilting related, but what have you come across recently that you would recommend that we should think about and consider?
Well, one of the things I like the best is that we bought these lights for our room. I don't know if you can see. Oh, you can't see them, but they're really nice lights. Lights up my room when it's dark, so it's really good. And I also love my red snappers to put on my quilt on because it just makes it so much. What am I doing here? Makes it so much easier to do. And then we actually do a lot of cooking. So we have purchased a bunch of canisters that, if you want to see organized, then you'd have to see my pantry. Because they're all clear plastic and a certain size, and you can see everything that's in them. And of course, some of them I have labeled, like different flowers. I have different labels. So I got my brother labeler and put that on there. So you get all that. So
you're probably like me, where you walk into the Container Store and you just want to move in.
Yeah, exactly. I think I have.
Well, thank you so much, Roger, for showing us your space. I really appreciate it. If people want to connect with you online, where can they find you?
I'm basically on Facebook. So Heartfelt Quilts. That'll get you. You can see all my quilts that I've done, and I've done a lot of quilting for other people. So you'd see that as well. And that's about the only place really. I should hook up to other stuff, but I don't.
That's fine. I really appreciate your time, Roger. You have a lovely space, and I am just green with envy over your water view. That's amazing. I would probably just sit there and watch the birds all day and forget I was supposed to be quilting.
Yeah,
so
that could be an issue.
All right. Well, thanks, Roger, and we'll see you in the clubhouse.
Thanks. Love it. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much, Roger. I really appreciate the time that you took to show us your space. And as you can tell, we did record that earlier so that we could get Roger at a good time and get us at a good time and make sure that all of the technology was working for us. So I just appreciate your time, Roger. You have a lovely space, and I am so envious of that view. I wanted to show you my favorite things for this month. We have a collection of spooky spools. So all of the greatest colors for the fall, we have them in both the King Cone of Glide as well as the King Cone of Primo Soft. So like I said earlier, the Primo Soft is just a matte finish version of the Glide Thread. Glide Thread has a shiny finish to it. And then we have them also in the smaller cones. So they're about, they're about that tall instead of this size. Head over to our website. We do have the bundle at a discount for you. And you can find them if you just search for the word spooky spools or use that short link that we have up and it'll take you right to them. One of the cool things about the colors in this grouping is the white thread is not your regular white thread. The white thread will glow under black light. So over here on my APQS Millie, it has a built-in black light. And if you see, let me just take the cover off and I should be able to get a little piece of the thread. There he is. And so if you are quilting white thread on white fabric and you're having a hard time seeing it, switch over to this, this particular white is called Super White, and it will glow under black light, and you can see so much better when doing white thread on white fabric. Of course, glowy thread on black fabric is also super fun as well. So check out our Spooky Spools grouping there on the website on quiltedjoy.com. I think you'll have fun with it. And if you are enjoying the Quilted Joy Clubhouse, one of the kindest things that you can do would be to share your love for it on our Google review page. It helps other people find us. It helps the Google algorithms kind of serve us up so that other people can find us more easily. And then share it with a friend that you think might enjoy the content. That truly is the best possible compliment that you could give to all of our hard work to bring this to you month by month, is to share it with someone you think would find it helpful and valuable. All right, so each month I put out a call in our Facebook group for folks to submit a photo of their quilt, and then I choose one, and during our clubhouse meeting, I draw on that one that I've chosen to show you how I would quilt it if it were my quilt. And we had some great entries, and I hope you head over to the Facebook group and you see all the beautiful quilts that were submitted to be chosen. And so I've chosen one, so let's take a look. All right, so Tina, I chose your quilt. It's the fall. It looks like leaves kind of sprinkled on the forest floor, and I love all those ombre dot fabrics. Just a beautiful color palette, and all those diamond shapes that come out is just gorgeous. So this is the one that we're going to be working on today. And I'd like to kind of walk you through my thought process in hopes that it helps you kind of see that it didn't just pop into my head fully formed. I kind of wrestled with it a little bit before I found what I like. So I just want to show you what I initially kind of played around with. So initially I played around with those diamond shapes. I played around with inset diamonds. I played around with a lot of straight lines. I played around with a lot of curls that you see here in the bottom right. And eventually, as I started to think about what we were going to talk about for this month and how we were going to talk about these feather designs, I thought, well, gosh, there would be a way to really pull in some beautiful feathers into those shapes. So what I initially looked at was the feathers being formed in this way. So the spine of the feather being formed in this way. So I'm just going to draw out that formation so you can kind of see my choices and then how I changed my mind and went with a slightly different spine. So I'm going to pull this over. We're going to work with that little pink leaf right there. And so initially what I thought was to use this seam here as my spine. And so initially what I thought was, okay, so what I would do, let me make that a little bit smaller because right now I think my size is way too big. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, so initially I thought, okay, I'm gonna just do that curl that we talked about before and just curl up into the points of this leaf and then head back down the spine, and then curl off this way and curl into that diamond shape. and it just got a little, I don't know, like the center of that, where these two spines meet, they were coming, see how they can tend to come together a little weird. Like this one I could have curved up even more, but still it needed something right here. It needed like a terminal feather or something right there. And so it wasn't working for me. Let me show you that again. So that was my initial thought, and here's where I went with it. So it just, where they were coming together in the center, right in here, was really kind of bothering me. So instead what I thought was, maybe what I'll do is I will choose to make my spine against the horizontal, well, they aren't horizontal, the diagonal sashing lines, and use this seam as a natural barrier between the plumes. So let me make sure I've got my, okay, let me make a new, because it's making me, let me get a new layer, and I'll draw on this layer. Okay, so I'm just gonna head up this edge, and it just feels so much more natural to me. And I'm just doing that same curled, it could be a hooked feather. I just did it as a curled feather, a kind of tightly curled feather. When I got to the top, I went out, and I would head back down that little sashing, and then I'm gonna head up this side. And so that seam there in the center is giving me a visual idea of where my plumes, where they need to stop, so that I don't cross over into the next area that I'm going to be putting plumes into in a minute. And then the same thing here, curl, 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 curl. And this actually would go pretty quickly. Because there's so much asymmetry and it's so forgiving, you can kind of attack it pretty quickly. Unlike, say, traditional over-the-top bump feathers, where you have to go a little slow because you're doing a lot of backtracking. And then, for this little piece here, it's the same shape as before, it just doesn't have a friend. And so it's the exact same thing that I'm doing, but do you see how it makes that diagonal sashing suddenly the spine? Let me do this side. And so the feathers kind of hug that diagonal sashing and give a really interesting kind of, it's almost like the spine is hidden or floating behind all those little plumes. All right. Okay, so I think you get an idea of what I do. I just keep on going. Now, I likely would ditch this, so I would likely, before I got started, go ahead and ditch around each of these just to stabilize them so that I was not kind of throwing them out of whack as I work around each of these leaf shapes. Okay, so that was how I did it. Let's take a look at the finished view here, and I'm just gonna zoom out. And Tina, I hope that you feel as though you could do this based on those feathers that we talked about before. I think it would just be glorious. And it's just emanating from each of those leaf designs. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit and we can kind of pan around some. It is like the diamonds from last month, yeah, except that the sashing is the spine. So there you go, Tina. I would love to see, Tina, what you come up with. You certainly don't have to do what I suggest. You can do whatever you want at your quilt, but that's how I would quilt it if it were my quilt. I hope you guys like that. I hope that you found it helpful, especially as we talked about, the other feather designs that we spoke about today. I hope that you saw how easy it would be to put that on a spine and use it on a quilt, just like we saw. All right, so in that Facebook group, in the Quilted Joy Clubhouse, people post what they are working on, and it's always so much fun to have a little show and tell and drool on their quilt. So let's see what's been going on the last month. Deb posted this photo of, she said she just recently got her long arm machine, and she's been using some of our tutorials to play. This one is a panel quilt that she put borders on, and then she's been playing in those areas. Such a great idea, Deb, because there's so much forgiveness built into that. You've got some things going on there. The fabrics have a lot of pattern to them, so it's super forgiving, lets you play and not get all bunched up, if you make a mistake or you go in a direction you didn't intend to. So panel quilts are always a great little sandbox to use to play in. Okay, so Kelsey posted this photo from during the month where she was working on feather designs, feathers in a diamond shape, which was our September program, and posted her work on there, and she was saying that one side of the spine is easier than the other spine, and that is very, very true. Most people do find they have a favorite side of the spine. Virginia posted this one. Isn't this a beautiful patriotic quilt? She was showing that she put some designs there in the white, and then she actually remade this quilt bigger and was looking for some ideas in those diamond shapes, and did a beautiful job. I really love the flow of that quilt. Roger posted this one. He's been working on his feathers too, and take a look at how he used his seams as the spine to have those feathers grow from the point and come into the center of the shape, the center of that, that star. Beautiful job, Roger. Great job. Marie, she posted this baby quilt, and I love how she used the extra blocks on the back too. So having a pieced back, an interesting back like that is always fun. But take a look, those are just gigantic half square triangles and gigantic 9 patches, and it's so effective as a baby quilt and would go together super easy. She did it all over meander. Really great job, Marie. Thank you for posting that. And Barbara, you blew me away. You did such an amazing job on this. Take a look. She said that she did a pantograph for the outside portion, so through those log cabins and the borders, and then did the interior, the star, the medallion, with rulers and some free motion. So she's got some curved cross hatching. She's got some stars that she's quilted into those setting squares, and then the interior border, she did some matchstick, very dense kind of refrigerator coil, dense quilting there on the interior sashing. So beautiful job, Barbara. Diane posted this one. Isn't this fun, little elephant? And I think those little flags at the top, Diane, I think those are 3D. At least they look like they would be something fun for the baby to play with. And she said that she quilted this and then washed it, and it's getting ready to head to the baby. So don't you love that? A pink elephant. So thank you so much for posting what you're working on. I always, I'm just inherently nosy. So post on there because I love to see what you're working on, and we want to cheer you on as you play. So do join us next month. So next month we are going to be Wednesday, November the 4th at 1 o'clock Eastern. And we've done this whole year, the year of feathers. So we are going to talk about feathered wreaths. Now, feathered wreaths are not an easy thing. Feathered wreaths are not a beginner thing. But I want you to see how to break down feathers. We've talked about better plumes you can put on spines and how you can accomplish a feathered wreath even though you may not be ready for that Amish traditional bump feather on a wreath. There's other ways to tackle it. So next month we're going to be doing the outside of the wreath. And then in December, we'll do the inside of the wreath. So by the end of the year, now you're going to have the ability to do a whole feathered wreath. So do join us on Wednesday, November the 4th at 1 o'clock Eastern. And of course, you can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, on Instagram. I generally post more like about my travels and what's going on in my little personal world. And then, of course, our tutorials and all can be found there on YouTube. And as always, we always always love it if you find the time to review us on Google. I read every single review that you put, and I so appreciate your time doing that. So I will see you guys in November. Have a wonderful fall. Don't forget to sign up for our fall holiday, our fall quilt along. I think you'll enjoy some of the free motion worksheets that we've got ready for you. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.